Okay, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jessica Rorison. We're right at 10 o'clock, and I think we'll just let people in as they show up. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that I'm coming to you today from Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis, and we pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and wherever you are as well. Um, so my name is Jessica Rorison, and I'm working with the team at Beaver River Community Futures as their new BSO for these two new exciting programs. So that would be a business or BDO, Business Development Officer. Yes, yes. This is quite new for me personally. However, I have worked with Community Futures for the last over 11 years now. And so this is a new position in that I am helping with these two new programs out of Beaver River. So one of them is the Indigenous Youth Entrepreneur Program, and the other one is the Indigenous Women's Entrepreneur Program. And so this is really exciting for Community Futures because never has there been such a program that is offered to Indigenous people in our province. So we are really excited about these two programs that we can offer now in Saskatchewan. So just to begin with, I'm just going to ask that you turn off your video and turn off your mic just because we're recording, and then we want to have the ability to share this recording and not have to worry about you being in the video and not being okay with that as we share that across our network. So thank you very much for doing that. We will answer questions at the end. And if you think of something as you go, just pop it into the chat and then I'll answer the questions at the end. Janet from Beaver River is on this session as well, so she can also help answer any questions if you have any at the end. So welcome. I think to get started, what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about Beaver River in general and Community Futures. You might have no clue who Community Futures are, and we really want to make sure that you walk away from this today knowing who Community Futures is. So there are actually 13 CF offices in Saskatchewan, and there's 268 in Canada, sorry. But for the purpose of today, we're going to be focusing on Beaver River, which is located in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. So Beaver River is, their entrepreneurial base is quite different, let's say, than somebody in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. They have a lot of Indigenous clients. The feeling in the north is just a little bit different in terms of what businesses are being started and what is being offered. And so I'm just going to read this little portion. So Beaver River is here to support rural entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community builders across the north. So whether you're launching a new venture or growing an existing business, they are here to help you with advice and loans and support. And the support that you will receive through Community Futures, it doesn't matter which office you're going to, is the personalized support in which you receive. If you have never been to Meadow Lake or anywhere in their region is very unique in that you will find people ice fishing and your clients will come in off of their skidoos and show up at your office. It's just a very different vibe. People are looking for funding for opportunities, maybe in logging, in forestry, in commercial fishing. And then there's also some smaller opportunities, of people who are wanting to start, a stay-at-home business. For example, they have a new client who's just started a sourdough bread making bit side hustle. So, there's so many different opportunities across the province as well as in the north. So unlike the other Community Futures offices in Saskatchewan, they also are able to offer loans up to $150,000 with fixed interest rates and with terms set at the time of approval. And there are no penalties for repayment if you're wanting to repay that loan off sooner. So now for the reason for this session today. So Beaver River has recently partnered with NACCA. So NACCA is the National Aboriginal Capital Corporation Association. They're a very large entity, and they have been impacting businesses and economic development throughout Canada now for a number of years. And the funding for our two new programs, the IWE and IYE microloan programs, is through NACCA. And this has been a long time coming for Beaver River. This is a new partnership. There are a lot of opportunities, and we're really, really excited about how this is going to translate success across Indigenous communities. So these two programs, what they are is it is a loan attached to a grant portion, as well as there's mentorship. So there's mentorship when you're filling out your application. There's mentorship when you're building your business plan in order for it to get approved in the first place. There's a lot more supports, filling out paperwork and helping gather documentation, just to help remove any barriers to people accessing these funds and this support. So, like I said, the National Aboriginal Capital Corporation Association is known as NACCA, and it supports over 50 Indigenous financial institutions across Canada, fostering economic growth through loans, advocacy, and entrepreneurship development. So currently in Saskatchewan, there are two other organizations that are working with NACCA to offer programs. One of them is Clarence Campo Development Fund, as well as SEAF. So they both have these programs for their Indigenous clients. But this is the first time for us at Beaver River also to be able to tap into these funds to assist our Indigenous clients. So NACCA's commitment is to Indigenous prosperity, so empowering communities through vision and values. NACCA champions economic growth, equity, and self-determination for Indigenous peoples, fostering sustainable business practices and collaborative initiatives that uplift communities across Canada through entrepreneurship and support. So that's also the values and our goals for offering this program is we are going to be also taking on the vision and mission of NACCA's programs and bringing them into our own as we offer the IYE and IYE programs in the province. So we're going to just talk specifically first about the Indigenous Youth Program. So it is for anyone who is First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who are between the ages of 18 and 39 in Saskatchewan. We're looking more, obviously Beaver River is in the north, but we are accepting applications for individuals who are Indigenous, but living in rural communities. So that means not in Saskatoon and not in Regina. We can go through we'll talk about the application process a little bit later, but for now, anyone who wants to apply between the ages of 18 and 39, Indigenous, if there's a partnership, they need to have 51% ownership in the business. And the participant can access up to $25,000 in funding combined with a grant of up to 30%. I will be providing these slides after this session, so in case any information is missed, as well as I'm going to email the group out a little bit more of the details and specifics and the links specifically to these programs. So again, the participants can access up to $25,000 in funding, combining grants and loans, ensuring essential financial support to launch and grow their business effectively. If an individual needs additional dollars in order to get their project going, that is perfectly fine. We will just connect you to the Community Futures office that is within your community. If you're in Meadow Lake, you would be working directly with Beaver River. And so the total project cost can go up to $70,000, but just the dollars through NACCA is the $25,000. I know this is a little bit, it might sound like it's confusing, but again, I'll kind of walk through this example, and then I'll be able to email out a little bit more after. So the program includes a non-repayable grant opportunities, allowing entrepreneurs to invest in their venture without the pressure of repayment, fostering a supportive business environment. So, okay. I'll add that in just a second, Janet. So each participant receives a personalized mentorship and guidance from experienced professionals, enhancing their skills and confidence to navigate the entrepreneurial landscape successfully. So I'm just going to go in here and look at Janet's comments. If someone wishes to apply for either programs and is in partnership, not only do they need 51% shareholder, they also need to be directly involved in the operations of the business. Correct. So their partner has to be, if they're the Indigenous partner, they need to be involved in the business.
So say, for example, it was a husband-wife team and they were looking at starting up a mechanic shop, but the wife was not the mechanic and she was the Indigenous partner. She then would not be able to apply for this program because she's not actually the one doing the mechanical work. Just for an example.
Yeah. And the Indigenous Women's Program is for any woman, Indigenous women between the age of 18 years old and 70 years old. Again, the same parameters apply for anyone applying for this program. Again, still the same $25,000 in funding with up to 30% non-repayable at the end. Again, personalized mentorship and guidance. So some of the different reasons why these programs are exciting is because of the training, as well as the peer learning and the community celebration. Part of this program is that we need to gather everyone who's involved and have a celebration. And so we look forward to being able to combine some cultural elements as well as some training and some networking when we get everyone together in a celebration. Along the way, we have some different milestones, and we look forward to that. There's also going to be some virtual training opportunities where you'll have an opportunity to learn some skills as well as create a network of like-minded people that we hope that we can create a platform of networking, perhaps in person as well as virtual, as this contract moves forward. Why are these programs important? I think for us, we're really excited about this opportunity because we know that Indigenous people have different needs and different mission and different vision compared to, let's say, somebody in an urban center. Their jobs, their business, the businesses that they potentially might start are going to look different than in an urban center. And so we want to be able to add a cultural component to this experience for them, as well as just be aware of some of the barriers that Indigenous entrepreneurs may face and be there kind of from day one to help them recognize what those barriers may look like and how we can, make sure that we talk about them right off the start and problem solve right from the ground up. If it's that a person really wants to move forward but is really lacking in bookkeeping training or even any kind of financial literacy, we're going to make sure that we're offering financial literacy to those individuals. We're going to make sure that we have bookkeeping training set up. We're going to try to foster independence in individuals. And if they're lacking in a skill, we're going to try to find coaching and training that's relevant to our clients that we have applying for the program. So at this point, we are not coming up with a huge long list of training opportunities yet. We want to wait and see what the needs are of the applicants, and then from there, make sure that the programs and the services that we're offering are curated, especially for our clients, because we have found that in the past, it's not a one size fits all. We need to kind of see what people are coming to the table with before we can start creating a plan of attack. We want to make sure that people are feel seen and feel heard, and that they're not wasting their time just by taking random training, but that the training is specific to what they need. And then creating sustainable futures and creating business independence and creating community growth, which is our goal. So we have these two programs currently on Beaver River's website. They both go into great detail about the program and how to apply. The first step is just kind of a fillable form, and it's just your name, your email, your business idea, how much you're maybe potentially looking to borrow. And then from there, that form will come to me. Then we'll have a conversation about what this looks like. Is your business viable? Is this something that you are interested in? Because the next step is their application form, and it's quite time consuming. So we want to make sure that we have some conversations around your business and the viability of it and your financial situation before we get you into a situation where you're applying for funding that maybe today is not the right time for applying for funding. At the end of the day, we don't want people to get a loan if they cannot afford to have a loan payment. So we want to make sure that we are really being thorough in our application process and setting people up for success. So this program is for anyone who is starting a new business, anyone who has an existing business who wants to do maybe a project, a renovation, an expansion. They can utilize those dollars for that as well. So it's not just new business owners. It's also existing business owners that can access these dollars. And I think that's why it's exciting, is that because within our portfolio of clients that we have a lot of Indigenous clients, but it didn't exist before. So now we can go back to them and say, hey, listen, we have these two great programs if you're looking at, potentially expanding or, wanting to develop a different service or opportunity for your clients. So that being all said, I am going to open up the floor and see if anyone has any questions specifically about this program. I'm just going to stop the record.